Okay, so we are continuing with our series of Change Your World, which is a new program we're running. And these presentations are a part of that. And today, Decisions, 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 Part 2, going where nobody has gone before, to have you see the totality of you, to know where you come from, to recognize the decisions you've already made, and to open you up to the idea of making new decisions in a way that gives you a whole new vision of what this game is about. Good. Decisions, decisions, decisions. Today in part 2, we're going to continue with the idea that you can think of yourself as existing consciously in 3 components: a conscious you, a subconscious you, and a superconscious you. Let's begin once again by recognizing that you and we at our essence are all thought forms. We are all part of the collective consciousness of all that is. And we are all timelessly connected back to that source. You and we are 99% the same. Where we differ is in the shape of our consciousness. Through an infinity of choices, you humans have narrowed the focus of your consciousness to one thing at a time in a time-based realm. The conscious you is what's engaged with us here and listening to these words. And then we have what you call your subconscious. The subconscious you is 10,000 times more powerful than the conscious you. And it is also engaged with us here because it's always actively engaged. It supports you by handling all the details of your physical world. And then there's what we'll call your superconscious. And you can think of that as the extension of you that connects to us and extends all the way back down your connection to source. Now, these 3 components are really just approximations and not to be taken too literally, but they have value. They're useful concepts to help you be aware of what's really going on with you, because most of it is beyond the level that the conscious you usually thinks about. We're encouraging you to see the totality of you, to know where you come from, to recognize the decisions you've already made, and to open you up to the idea of making new decisions in a way that gives you a whole new vision of what this game is about. Let's think again today about the choices you make, consciously, subconsciously, and superconsciously. The conscious you makes all the new decisions. Every new decision creates a new version of you in a new matching context. The subconscious you watches and learns from you, and it takes over all the status quo decision-making. It's engaged with the mechanisms of a physical you navigating a physical world. The superconscious you also responds to your decisions. It maintains these very components we're describing. It maintains the shape of you and your context and your connection to source. So what sorts of new decisions does the conscious you make? Well, there are what we're going to call, just for simplicity's sake, level 1 choices. These choices are made within the context you have created. They change the context, but not much. These are choices like what to have for dinner tonight, or what to spend money on, And they change the context, because if you have one thing, then you will need to replace that one thing at the supermarket. So if it's chicken, you will need to buy more chicken. And if it's fish, you will need to buy more fish. And so there's a ripple effect out into this world that you are in, but it's not much. That's a level 1 choice. And you know subconsciously you are going to make these choices consciously. Let's just say that again. You know subconsciously you will be making these choices consciously. And there is no misalignment when you do, and no belief that you can't. They step you into a slightly different version of reality. So when you're making these level 1 choices, there is no misalignment, because consciously and subconsciously you've agreed that these are the choices you will make consciously. And so you know you can make these choices. There is no feeling within you that you are stepping beyond the bounds of that which you've already created, and you are not. There's no belief that you cannot make the choice. And they step you into a slightly different version of reality. Then there's level 2 choices. And these intervene in the status quo, like the choice to not react automatically to some event, or the choice to believe something new about you or your world. These choices change you and your context in significant ways. Choices like money does grow on trees. Not literally, of course, but choices for abundance, choices that you don't have to struggle, choices that you can be prosperous without the need to do things you do not want to do. These are level 2 choices. Or perhaps the choice to be ongoingly aware of who you are. Now, you cannot be ongoingly anything from the conscious you level. To be ongoingly ever-present awareness of who you are, it needs to be taken over by your subconscious, because it is always alert, always working, and always able to manage these things for you. But it's a new game for your subconscious. It's an enrollment, if you will, as we have often spoken of it. It's an enrollment of your subconscious in the game of ongoing and ever-present awareness. Now, with these choices, there is initial misalignment, because your subconscious knows this is not how the world works. Can you hear the significance in those words? With these level 2 choices, there is initial misalignment, because your subconscious knows this is not how the world works. And you will feel that misalignment. It feels like doubt. It feels like you cannot get there. It feels like pessimism, perhaps. And as you feel that misalignment, you either give up on that new choice, or, as we would encourage you to do, you persevere to the extent that your subconscious learns a new truth. And most of what we talk about in terms of making new choices, of course, is at this level 2. And so the significance of these words is very great. As you feel the misalignment where your conscious choice is choosing something that your subconscious knows not to be true, you feel it. You feel the misalignment. You feel the doubt. And you either give up on the choice, or you relegate it to it's not going to happen, for example, or, as we would recommend, you persevere, you practice that new choice until, just like every other pattern that your subconscious has learned, it learns a new truth. It learns how the game is to be from this point on. And then there's level 3 choices, like perhaps the choice to defy gravity and fly. the choice to step beyond space and time, the choice to create a galaxy. These choices dramatically change you and your context. Making these choices takes conscious alignment with the subconscious you and the superconscious you. So there we have level 1, level 2, where most of your choices are going to lie, and level 3. Then there are choices that are difficult to put into levels. And while we're talking about levels here, let us come back to that point we made earlier, which is these concepts of conscious, subconscious, and superconscious sound like you're in 3 buckets. And you could equally say you're in 33 or 3 million and so on, because there is no definite boundary between these buckets. And so, as always with these pictures, these metaphors that we use, we are asking you not to carry the metaphor too far, because they are always going to be approximations in a spectrum that is you. But these concepts have power. These concepts have power because we are able to talk about these so-called buckets, if you will, these virtual buckets, and to differentiate between them, and thereby to have you understand what's going on here in the totality of you, have you understand the choices you are making all the time. Subconscious choices, conscious choices, and superconscious choices. And then there are choices that are difficult to put into levels, like the choice to transition. Now, subconsciously, do you know that you can make the choice to transition? Subconsciously, do you believe if you step off the cliff that you will fall and perhaps die? And the answer to that is yes. And yet there is a lack of comfort with that decision. There is a feeling of great pressure not to do that. And that is because that choice is, once again, not in alignment with who you are. And if it were, it would feel good. One of the marvels of you in your game is that as you feel things, good and bad, you know you are heading towards or away from that which you really want. And so feelings, once again, are always important. Feelings, nothing is more important than choosing that which feels good. Nothing is more important than seeking to feel good. Nothing is more important than choosing to feel good for no reason at all. Nothing is more important than thinking of things which will carry you to that place of better feeling good, of picking things from your past that are wonderful experiences that you remember. And while you're basking in the deliciousness of that memory, you carry that thought into the new thing that you are doing and allow yourself to contaminate that new thinking with the joy of that old experience. Feeling good is all important. So what choices do you want to make? Recognize that there is no scale of virtue by which you make choices. All choices are created equal. And then there's those powerful words of Abraham. Make a choice and line up with it. What they are saying here is it makes no difference which choice you make so long as you are aligned with it, because any choice that you line up with is the right choice. And this process of lining up with it is what the game is all about, because lining up means agreement at all levels. Creation is not a process of manifestation. Can you see that creation is a process of alignment? It is alignment that causes manifestation. So it is a 1, 2, 3. It is get yourself into alignment by choosing thoughts of where you want to be and lining up with them. So what choices do you want to make? Maybe just a few small changes in your world. It's up to you. To make even small non-status quo changes, you have to understand that you are always at choice. And it helps you to have some idea of the mechanism of change. And once you understand that, the size of the change becomes irrelevant. So what choices have you made today? Think about that. What level were those choices? Set an intention to notice the choices you make. Of course, you will probably once again get immersed in so-called reality and forget all about this intention, but see how you go. And as you do, start to get some idea of what we spoke about a little earlier here by what we mean by ongoing awareness. Ongoing, ever-present awareness is really a subconscious / superconscious capability. And in many ways, this journey of yours towards more and more self-determination is all about getting into those other levels and enrolling the greater you as an ally of change. So, in summary here, there is the collective consciousness of all that is, of Source or of God, if you will. It is everything. And you are a part of everything, an always connected part of that collective consciousness. Then for the purposes of this discussion, we have talked about 3 other components of you. A superconscious you that is connected to that collective consciousness and spans the gap between that and this more conscious you that is sitting here, listening to these words. And then there is the subconscious you, which really makes almost all your decisions. When you walk to the door and back, it decides how you can stand up, where to place your feet, how to avoid obstacles, and how to find the door, none of which you think of. It walks you. It talks you. It chooses the words that you are going to say when you have a thought you wish to express. It drives your car for you to the extent that you can get in the car and drive to work and not once think about driving the car consciously. It makes almost all your decisions. And then there's the conscious you, which makes the new decisions, some of which are simple, as we said, level 1 decisions, some of which are going to change your world significantly, step you into a significantly different version. And then there's, of course, the level 3 decisions, which involves the whole of you, the superconscious you, the superconscious, that pattern of you in your world that is maintaining everything that exists, including the very shape of this consciousness we're talking about, all of which is up to you to change if you wish. So we would leave the discussion today with just 3 things. Know the truth of who you are intellectually. By that we mean there is some advantage in knowing the truth of who you are, the essence of who you are, the structure of which we have spoke a lot today, the connection of you being a part of the collective consciousness of all that is. Number 2, know what you want. What do you want now? Seems like a simple question, doesn't it? And yet so few of you think actively about what you want now. And number 3, get to the feel-good beingness of it, the isness of it, the being place of it. Learn to live your life within the context of those 2 questions How do I feel? What do I want now? How do I feel? And what do I want now? Good. So, last week we surmised that we might have an open call this week and invite others to channel. But we and they have decided in the structure of this program that is something we will do shortly, perhaps sometime in the next 2 or 3 weeks. So keep an eye out for that. In the meantime, Change Your World is a program that's running now. And as I said, we'll be offering it again shortly. Keep in touch with us on this channel, or to join the program, go to theloaclub.com/changeyourworld. Good.